We're watching Micah Parsons, the All-Pro eligible for an extension, scheduled to play on the fifth-year option of his rookie contract. But recently, Dallas has been channeling the Cranberries, letting these contract situations linger. Do you have to? Do you have to? Do you have to, Stephen Jones, when it comes to Parsons, though?
You know, I don't comment on close or far away or any of that. Those things usually, you know, when the right pieces, you know, when the right things come together and everybody's ready to do a deal, then it happens. And certainly we want Micah here, and he knows we want him here, and I think ultimately we'll get something done.
All right, that was a long-winded way to say no comment, but that's what we have our senior NFL insider, Adam Schefter, here for. Shefty, what are you hearing about where things stand right now between Parsons and the boys?
Well, the last thing that Stephen Jones said was ultimately, I think we'll get something done. I think that's the feeling across the board here from both sides, that they will get something done. But let's keep in mind, it's mid-May. There's not a rush to get that deal done today, but there is a feeling of optimism from both sides that Dallas will come up with the type of contract that is expected to make Micah Parsons the newest, highest paid defensive player in all of football. We've seen Max Crosby set that mark this offseason. We saw Myles Garrett beat that mark, and I would think that Micah Parsons has a realistic chance to beat that mark. Of course, he tweeted today about the Dallas Cowboys schedule and the fact that they have to play 6 straight teams with 11-plus wins, the first team in NFL history to do it. You see his reaction to that and how primed he is to play this season, how ready he is. I don't know how to pronounce exactly what he wrote there. I'll leave that to you, Elle. But obviously, he's ready to go for the upcoming season.
Yeah, I think it's something like, forget them, let's play ball. By the way, you know who they could use when they open up the season on Thursday night against the Eagles? Micah Parsons. But speaking of which, looking at last night's schedule, Shefty, and the reveal got a lot of people thinking, did the schedulers know that Aaron Rodgers may be going to Pittsburgh when they slotted Steelers-Jets week 1 and then Steelers-Packers week 8? NFL VP of Scheduling Mike Noor said today they had zero inside information. But again, we are still waiting. Like, what's the latest you can tell us right now on Aaron Rodgers' plans for the upcoming season?
Well, we've all heard the same information, Elle. We heard Art Rooney, the Steelers owner, come out and say that he believes that ultimately Aaron Rodgers will sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I think the time to keep in mind here is June 10th to the 12th. That's when the Steelers have a 3-day mandatory minicamp. And if Aaron Rodgers is going to sign, and the feeling continues to be ultimately that he will, despite the fact that he's been non-committal, that would be the time for it to get done. So we're probably still a few weeks away from the time that we hear Aaron Rodgers' official decision, but there's that feeling within the organization. He's been tracking what they have been doing. He worked out with DK Metcalf. He visited the building. I think there's a feeling that he's ultimately going to come back. June 10th to 12th is that minicamp. Put the days down in advance as a possibility for him to come back to Pittsburgh at that point in time. The schedule makers don't have to know that, but they were planning for him to be back in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they're reading some tea leaves. I'm glad you mentioned DK Metcalf. Well, we don't officially know who's going to throw to him. We do know that the receiver is going to face his former team, the Seahawks, week 2 in Pittsburgh. Adam Schefter sticking around all hour for us.
With the full NFL schedule came out last night. Vikings have a wild start. Monday Night Football in Chicago, then Falcons and Bengals at home before the Steelers in Dublin and the Browns in London. A body clock disaster with the time zones. The Commanders, quite a hot ticket after having only 2 primetime games last year. They have 8 standalone games this season, 5 in prime time, plus they face Philly on a Saturday, the Dolphins in Madrid, and the Cowboys on Christmas. So who came out best and worst? The 49ers have the easiest schedule based on last year's win-loss. The NFC East and the North face each other this year and have the toughest road led by the Giants, Lions, Bears, and Eagles. Let's bring in our NFL brain trust, Mina Kimes and Adam Schefter. Mina, let's start with you. What's your biggest takeaway from last night's schedule release?
Oh boy, the Giants have a tough slate of games. That's what really jumped out to me, Adam. I mean, arguably the hardest schedule in the NFL and really just starts right off the rip. And that's important because we all know the Giants drafted a rookie quarterback, Jackson Dart. We also know they're saying we're going to sit him. We've got Russell Wilson. He's a starter. We also have Jameis Winston. But we have seen time and time again when teams run into adversity, they run to rush to play their young quarterbacks. And my concern is that's going to happen with Jackson Dart, maybe even before that he's ready if there's calls for it. So I'm looking at that schedule and wondering how long they can hold out and how many games they can win before the calls get too loud.
Mina, at the opposite end of the spectrum is the San Francisco 49ers, coming off a 6-11 season. The reward for coming off a season like that is drawing one of the easiest, if not the easiest, strength of schedule in the National Football League. They play essentially the AFC South teams, the NFC South teams, and a last-place schedule from the NFC West. That is conspired to give the 49ers, who lost an awful lot of talent during free agency, to give them a chance to bounce back this season. We'll see if they can do it, but the schedule is set up in exactly the way a team would want it to be.
Yeah, Saints fans, Patriots fans also celebrating with those Niners as they have the next easiest schedules. Now, of course, we know that, especially of late, a big part of schedule release are the very creative videos that the social media teams end up putting out there. Mina, is there one that you're pinpointing as your favorite?
I like the Ravens one, the Severance one. Chargers are always great. But how about the Atlanta Falcons? I thought this was really cute. The Mario Kart, which is a game I grew up playing, so maybe it's a little bit catered to my generation to reveal the schedule with Bijan Robinson. They also got in little dig Bill Belichick and his girlfriend. I know you saw that part, sitting on the beach saying, don't ask him about that. And let me tell you, that was fair because Belichick and his girlfriend, they went after the Falcons. I don't know if y'all remember that. They've taken some digs. So it's only fair that the team, which of course opted not to hire Bill Belichick, gets to strike back a little bit.
And this is the Super Bowl for these social media. This is the Super Bowl for these social media departments, right? So they all treat it that way. And to me, when you look at it, Kevin, the Tennessee Titans came up big. Yep. A big win for the Titans. Yeah. They had the #1 pick in the draft. They had the worst record in the league last year, but they fared very well in posting the schedule release video. If you take a look at it yesterday, it was almost like a commercial for essentially what a schedule release can do for you.
Schedule Resi. A once-a-season schedule fix that cures FSW.
Football is everything.
Wildly creative. It seems like they probably spent a lot of money on that one. My favorite is the Buffalo Bills because they kept it really simple. Take a listen.
Real quick, schedule release video. You got anything for me?
I mean, just use AI.
AI?
That's what everybody's doing.
AI, thanks for doing this today.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. Why am I here?
I loved it because, Mina, you said that Mario Kart was for your generation. I think that was very much for us. When we hear AI, that's immediately what they thought, and I love they kept it simple. He held up a piece of paper and said, this is the schedule. Loved it.
I love that he just said also go Josh Allen, not go Bills.
Yeah, go Josh Allen.
Way to keep it real. All right, I'm going to go with the Chargers and the Minecraft video from the subtle jabs at the Dallas Mavericks on the Luka trade. Anthony Richardson running out of gas. The Raiders QR code. Saquon haunting the Giants, the infamous fight at Starbucks with 2 reporters. You have to watch it like 4 or 5 times to catch all the eggs. And as a dad of a 13-year-old and an 11-year-old, I'm just going to say chicken jockey.
Yeah.
Yeah,
what?
to everybody.
I don't know what that means.
This is well done.
That's not our audience.
That is not our audience, no. But this is really well done.
Yeah.
Chargers open up their season Friday, September 5th against the Chiefs in Brazil. Mina, Shefty, thank you so much. And if you say chicken jockey, you throw your popcorn up in the air. It's a thing.
Oh, the Jack Black movie.
Yes,
Got it.
Yes.
Full disclosure, Kevin, I fell asleep in that movie. The WNBA.
I'll explain everything.
Yeah, thank you,
about
please.
the
In the
layers.
commercial break, I will not follow.
Schedule release day did not disappoint yesterday. Some highlights: we're going to see the Eagles and the Chiefs rematch of the Super Bowl in Week 2. It's going to be a 3rd straight season to feature a Super Bowl rematch. The defending champions have a 7-3 record in 10 previous meetings. Couple of debuts to look forward to in Week 1. J.J. McCarthy and the Vikings will open up their season at the Bears on Monday Night Football. Ben Johnson will make his head coaching debut for Chicago. Remember, he spent the last 3 years as the Lions' OC. Toughest schedule in the NFL belongs to the Giants. New York's opponents had a .574 win percentage a season ago. It's the 5th hardest strength of schedule entering a season by any team since 2010. Let's bring in Dan Graziano, Damian Woody, immediate opponents on our schedule for some schedule overreactions. Dan, I want to start with you. Jackson Dart, will start for the Giants by November. Is that an overreaction or not an overreaction?
It's not an overreaction. Look, they want to give Jackson Dart as much time as possible to be ready, but we know this never works, right? The only team that's pulled this off is the Chiefs when they had Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes was a rookie and rode the bench. They started 5-0 and stayed in first place all year. You got the Giants starting 5-0 with 2 straight division road games out of the gate. Then they finally get home, and who's there waiting for them? The Kansas City Chiefs. They got the Eagles on a short week, and then the Eagles again 2 weeks later, all in the first half of the season. I believe the Giants are going to struggle, and when that happens, inevitably, the rookie quarterback gets pushed in there sooner than expected.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's not an overreaction. As the great philosopher Mike Tyson once said, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. And so while the plan may be for Jackson Dart to try to sit the whole year, have you looked at that schedule? Woo! Boy, it's going to be tough sledding for the Giants, I think.
Hey, we talk about tough schedules. Let's stay in the NFC East and take a look at what the Cowboys are doing in the second half of theirs. After taking on the Raiders on Monday Night Football in Week 11, gentlemen, Dallas will then get the Eagles and the Chiefs in back-to-back weeks. Then they're at Detroit in Week 14, then at home against the Vikings Week 15. After that, the Chargers in Week 16, and then the Commanders on Christmas Day. That is an absolute gauntlet, 8 national televised primetime games. So, Dan, I start with you. The Cowboys will have an unhappy holiday season based off of that schedule we're looking at. Is that statement an overreaction or not?
Not an overreaction. It's not just the opponents either. Like, if you look at the dates on those games, the Eagle game is a short week because it's coming off a Monday night game. Then 4 days later, they have the Chiefs on an even shorter week. That Washington game on Christmas is another Sunday to Thursday turnaround. So the Cowboys, with 3 short week games in the final 6 weeks of their season, they're going to have to have a pretty strong first half in order to weather this. It's going to be very difficult. Getting on and off planes at that time of year, I'm sure D Wood would tell you, is not anyone's idea of a great time. But playing on short rest that often in the second half of the season, that is a significant challenge.
Yeah, I hate to disagree with my buddy Dan Graziano. I'm going to go with an overreaction only because when I think everything's predicated on Dak Prescott and being healthy. When Dak Prescott plays a full slate, you can basically mark him up for 9 wins. Plus, that's how good Dak Prescott has been as a starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, we know about the additions, that the Dallas Cowboys have had. Primarily George Pickens as the number 2 wide receiver, opposite CeeDee Lamb. I think the offensive line is going to be better. So listen, I think as long as Dak is healthy, I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to be a playoff team this year.
It's going to be here before we know it, and we can't wait. That's the Grozfather and D-Dub joining us this morning on SportsCenter. Men, thank you.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. But stay tuned. Coming up next, I'll be adding even more value by showing you exactly how to get started with your knitting journey. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. But stay tuned. Coming up next, I'll be adding even more value by showing you exactly how to get started with your knitting journey.